Welcome to Esoteric Recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. The unmanned Pilgrim 7 space mission will soon return to Earth orbit from Mars carrying soil samples that may include signs of extraterrestrial life. The 6-person crew of the International Space Station intercepts the probe and collects its samples. Hugh Derry, an expert in exobiology, awakens a dormant cell from the sample, and it soon develops into a multicellular organism that American schoolchildren refer to as Calvin. Derry learns that Calvin's cells can switch between many functions, including muscle, neurons, and photosensory cells simultaneously. Derry's additional investigation into Calvin smashes his hand and renders him comatose. When Calvin gets out of its pen, it eats a lab rat and gets bigger as a result. Engineer Rory Adams saves Derry, but when Calvin assaults him, he is quarantined in the lab. Adams tries to defend himself against Calvin but is sucked up by him. Calvin escapes through a fire control vent. The communication system of the station soon overheats, cutting off all contact with Earth. Ekaterina Golovkina, commander of the ISS, goes on a spacewalk to locate and address the issue, which turns out to be Calvin. When Calvin tackles her, the coolant system in her spacesuit is damaged. Golovkina makes her way blindly to the airlock as the coolant in her suit fills to the brim. She decides to stay outside and drowns in her spacesuit once the crew realizes that if they let Calvin inside, he will re-enter the station. Calvin makes an effort to re-enter the station using its directional thrusters. To launch it off, the crew fires the engines, but this depletes so much fuel that the ISS enters a declining orbit, where it will burn up in the atmosphere. Although it will enable Calvin to re-enter, pilot Sho Murakami proposes using the ISS's remaining fuel to return to a secure orbit. In order to make Calvin inactive, the crew closes off one part of the station and gets ready to open the other. The group finds Calvin feeding on Derry's leg after his abrupt death, and they are then attacked. Calvin tries to break in while Murakami locks himself inside a sleeping pod. David Jordan and Miranda North use Derry's body as bait to entice Calvin away and trap it on the other side. They learn that a Soyuz spacecraft is its route to the International Space Station to respond to an earlier distress call. Murakami tries to board the Soyuz as it is pushing the ISS out of Earth's orbit, which causes the Soyuz to crash into the ISS, killing him and the Soyuz crew and forcing the ISS's orbit to decay once more. Jordan and North, the two remaining survivors, believe Calvin might be able to survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, therefore they have a plan to get Calvin into one of the ISS 2 escape pods. Jordan will manually drive Calvin's pod into deep space after getting inside, isolating it and allowing North to board the second pod to return to Earth. They seem to have a good idea. Eventually, though, debris strikes North's pod, and Jordan is assaulted by Calvin. North records a black box message as her pod moves in one direction in order to alert Earth to Calvin's threat. One of these two pods eventually makes landfall in the ocean, where Vietnamese fishermen discover it, while the other pod is knocked away from Earth. It turns out that the pod the Vietnamese fishermen uncover is Jordan's, not North's. And North's pod is then seen flying out of control into deep space as she cries. Like and subscribe for more videos and notifications. Thanks for watching.